Hello there, I hope you are well today. Let's talk about Upptalk before we start the video. Upptalk is a live, interactive platform for learning how to use the software. It gives people strong personalities who can use all business platforms. This video is about the Pega PCBA. First of all, let's figure out what Pega is. Pega is a platform that uses a methodical process to build and deploy explanations and applications that are based on rules and processes. Pega is one of the best BPM tools available on the market today. Let's find out about Pega PCBA. The Pega Certified Business Architect (PCBA) program focuses on how to design and build a Pega application. PCBAs have the basic, essential skills needed to analyze, design, and create business requirements and specifications in the Pega application. In this video, we will talk about the following: data modeling and type, data storage in memory, Pega clipboard, Pega clipboard pages and Pyworkpage, how to run a transaction data validation, design requirements. End of session. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and check out our Upptalk channel for more videos about the latest technologies. Ms. Sneha, who is a certified trainer in Pega PCBA, will talk about this video and explain all of the things on the list. Let's get started.
The important aspect we have discussed is about data modeling of your application. So how you want the data to be in your application? It should be of what type? Right? So that is nothing but designing your data model. So here we have seen something called as data type, where you try to group or where you try to bundle certain elements, some data elements together. So it is called as a data type. So far, whatever we have created until yesterday were like single valued properties. We did not establish any relationship between them, right? But it is always easier for me to handle if they are all together. So we generally go with data types. And also one more important advantage here is of the reusability. So it would be very easy for me to create a data type and use it across multiple case types. Right? So we have seen different categories of properties, like there are value mode properties and page mode properties. When you further drill down the value mode properties, you have got single value, value list, value group. On the other hand, for the page, similarly, we have single page, page list, and page group. Right? So it is up to our choice, depending upon the usage, you could choose whichever kind of data element you wanted to have. Yeah. Yesterday we have seen, we have used this data type, and we have seen how it is used for getting the page properties and page list properties. Right? We used a data relationship field type there. Earlier it was all just text type, pick list, then phone number, email types and all. But now we used a data relationship. So that makes a lot of difference when it comes to reusability. We spoke about a lot of things related to the data modeling, case designing, and sort of stuff. Right? Mm-hmm. Now, as a developer or as a BA, sometimes you will also be involved a little bit on the debugging aspect as well. Right? Okay. So not necessarily as much what a developer does, but at least I will be involved in a bit of debugging. So let us understand where this application data is being stored, or how do I access it, or how do I check whether the data is being collected correctly or not. Is it in the right format? So I need to check those initial settings, right? At least I might need to initialize some data and all. So this data storage in memory, this lets us see where this data is being stored. How is it stored? Is it there is a format or not? So we will be looking at these things. Okay? Because applications usually generate a lot of amount of data. So your sources of data include the case data, or you can have user data, or you can have data from other external sources as well, right? Probably if you are an insurance-based application, you need the history of the customer. And like you might need his vehicle history, or you might need his previous accident history and sort of stuff. Right? So that comes from an external third-party vendor. That is also used in order to provide an insurance for my client, whether to provide or not, or how much premium has to be decided. So this depends upon data coming from external sources. Right? So I'm dealing with a lot of data here. And while developing the application, we might need to review the application data for debugging. Because obviously incorrect information will lead to a lot of errors or some undesired results. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, in order to store, right. So in order to process or in order to resolve the transactions, we will capture a lot of information. Right? And we might need to process it as well. And sometimes we need to present it back to the user for the review or for his confirmation whatsoever. We might need to present also, right? And
Yeah.
for this, I should have my data stored somewhere, correct? So one thing where I store the data is called the clipboard. So this, you can call it as a temporary or a cache of memory, you could say. This is not a DB structure. So generally, when it comes to applications, we will store the data in the data tables, the DB tables, right? So this is not the exact DB table, but this is a memory that is reserved for storing the case data. Okay? The DB aspect is anyways there. Data will anyways go and sit in the table assigned to it. But this clipboard is faster access. This the space is reserved for quickly accessing data corresponding to a case type. Okay? And you get to see all the data here in the form of name value pairs. You will see the name of the element and you will see the value that is assigned to it. Okay? So every element, every field that we see is in the form of a name value pair. And once we look at the structure of the clipboard, we will try to explore a lot more on this. But let us see how do we access it, or where can we access it. Okay. So any guesses? Where can I see the clipboard?
In the development studio.
Development. Okay. In fact, BAs can also work on debugging. Now, if I say so, where can you check for this?
Admin.
If a BA can do it, then
then it's app studio.
Right. So where in App Studio can I check it? Is it on the header, Explorer panel, work area?
There was something called as a development toolkit, isn't it? Is that there?
Correct.
Is it in that area?
So on the bottom right corner, here is where you can access the toolbar, and yes, you have the clip.
Yeah, so it is in the like a tool in the sense development kit, like,
correct.
Isn't it?
Correct. Right. So let's see how you can track the data and all. I'm just going to run the instance. And once we open the clipboard, I see different categories of data available. So clipboard is like a book, you can say, where you have different pages in it, which consists of different kinds of data. So let us see what it looks like.
Oh, so you go to this, it automatically takes you to the terminal.
No. Whenever you start or whenever you need to work on your personalization, you should always start your server first. Probably once the installation is done, I'll show that clearly. So you would get 3 icons on your screen. 3 desktops would be available.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about you get to see it like this.
Okay.
Let me show them. Yeah. So you will be able to see 3 icons like this: login, shutdown, and startup. So every time you want on your personal edition, you should start your server.
Every
So
time
this
you
would be
want? Sorry. Every time
no.
you want what?
You want to work on your personal edition, you should start your server first.
Okay, so today for the first time you're starting it.
No, it would be running because each time I have to work on it, I should have it started, right?
Yeah,
So
that's what you were on that before, isn't it? So now why are you starting? You were just seeing that, okay, it
no,
goes to the.
yes, I did not start it. I was just looking at it. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
So after that, you just need to click on this login button to get your home screen.
Yeah, so that is login is like whichever you want to log in as, isn't it? Like each time you can change
No,
the
it
login.
would be the same login screen for every application because it is the personal edition. It depends upon the user that you
Yeah,
create.
exactly. So you have to log in as a user what you want, isn't it? Like we were doing
Correct.
the,
Correct. Yes.
yeah, like other time recruitment or so what you have created. Or as a user login is different, isn't
It
it?
could be
Then,
user, it could be manager. Yes.
or it can be a application like how a BA can log in.
Correct.
Okay.
So I was just looking because I see that this is slow. So I'm just checking if there are any issues or I mean like why is it getting slow? I just
Okay.
check.
What do you do if it goes to hang mode? Because it's a personal one, isn't it? So you stop and
Mm,
restart.
mm. So
Just
you
close and
just need
again
to shut
restart, or
down your
is there?
server. Yes. Shutdown and restart will work in most of the scenarios.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm,
I
seems
think when
like
you're really working on the enterprise, however, the server will not be with you. You will just have the logins, isn't it? The front end,
correct.
because there will be
Correct.
someone else
So the
handling the
VM
server.
details or be it your cloud details will be with your IT team.
Yeah. Whoever the cloud team, I think, who
Correct.
deals with it.
Correct.
Usually now everything is in the cloud only, isn't it?
For most of it, it is on the cloud.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just still loading. Okay. So let us talk about the clipboard in the meanwhile. So
Yeah.
when I say clipboard consists of data in the name value pairs, I see the name of the element and I see the value that is assigned to it. Now, so what all elements do you think would be available on the clipboard? Because we have entered a lot of data. I mean, we have collected a lot of data. So what all do you think would be available in it?
You mean in our application perspective, what all will be
Correct.
available?
Correct.
The name, address, bit.
So probably all the ones we created, the user created entities will all be there for sure.
Okay. So this clipboard is something different from what we consider other clipboards, isn't it? So this will be there for a long time or what? What we have created?
Yes, you can say so. It will be specific for each case instance. So you will have the, I mean, a separate instance of clipboard will be there for each case we create. Suppose yesterday
Okay,
we
so
create.
okay. So for each instance you have a clipboard instance, and I think as days pass, does it
Mm,
start erasing from the first in first serve
mm,
or something like that when
correct.
it needs
You
more
can say so.
when you need more memory space to clear up, it automatically goes
Correct.
the
Will be
farthest one.
purged.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
So, I mean, we have understood that whatever is there on my transaction, that would definitely be available on the clipboard. Good.
Mhm.
Now, those properties, we also have some other properties available on the clipboard. So maybe once the clipboard, okay, I'm just shutting down the server for a moment.
Yeah,
I'll
no
just
problem.
start it. So shutting down. Okay. So along with the properties that user has created, we will also see some other properties which are prefixed with px, py, and pz. So these three prefixed properties will also be available. Okay, along with whatever we define, we also see some other properties called px, py, pz. We will discuss more on these three px, py, pz properties once we open the clipboard. So then we will get a little more idea on why these has to be used and how or where are these coming from. We'll see once we open the clipboard, right?
Yeah.
So let me just check it. Okay, yeah, I think. Let me launch the App Studio. I'm just going to restart it once again. So every time you need to work, you have to start your servers first.
So that's just a click, isn't it? We need not do anything.
Correct. Yeah, just double check this. And probably after a minute or two, you can just click on this login. So you will be able to see your personal instance.
Is there anything on the server we need to check before starting? Like if the server has come, what shows us to show that?
So you will see this message saying server started. So if that is on, then you can go ahead, launch your Pega platform.
Okay.
Okay. Right. Now, okay, so let us go back to understanding the clipboard in the meanwhile. Right. So within the clipboard, if you observe, you'll get to see a lot of pages. So pages as in not the page concept that we discussed yesterday. So page as in here a collection of data elements, you could say. So there are a lot of pages within the clipboard. But what are we interested in these four categories of the clipboard pages? So I have something called as user pages, then data pages, and then I have some linked property pages and system pages. Now, what are these? So how is each one of it significant? User pages is something which has data related to all the user interactions of that particular case type. So when I fill in the details, right? Suppose there is an application and I fill in the details for a transaction. All of that data will be part of the user pages category. So everything related to user interactions will be available under the user pages. Okay. And then I have something called as data pages. So this data pages is specific to read-only information within the application. Suppose sometimes you might get some external data into your application, and maybe that could be a read-only data. So in order to view that, you should check on the data pages category. Okay. Or to give you a simple example, then when I open my banking portal to check my balance, so balance has to be a read-only field, correct? It should not be editable.
Yeah.
So if you sort of try to get this data into your application, it would be under the data pages category. It will be typically a read-only information. Okay. And then you have something called as linked property pages. So this is something which deals with linked properties. Okay. So generally, linked property pages are accessed by your senior system architects and lead system architects, which is a bit of advanced aspect. Okay. So we don't need to generally worry about these linked property pages. And then the last one, system pages. So if you want to look at data related to the current user, which operator has logged in or which operator raised this case, or what is the current active user session, or which application you are in, what is the organization, division, unit. So all of that can be checked on the system pages category. So according to what kind of data you're looking at, so you need to choose the respective clipboard category. Okay. If I want to look at system related information, I should check only on the system pages. There's no point checking in the user pages category because it doesn't have any related information to the system. Okay. So we should clearly know which category holds what kind of data. Right? Yes. These 4 categories, and out of which the most used one is the user pages, because that's where most of the user interaction happens.
Yeah, I think for BA that is important, I think.
Exactly, exactly. And in specific, within the user pages also, there are again multiple pages inside it, right? But one page that is of a specific interest for us is called Pyworkpage. So out of all the pages available on user pages category, I am interested in Pyworkpage. Okay. So this Pyworkpage is sort of a dynamic page. If I run a case instance related to recruitment, so Pyworkpage will consist of data related to work-recruitment. I mean, or you can say just a recruitment. If I run an onboarding case type, Pyworkpage will turn to onboarding case type. Right? So the name remains the same.
He's dynamic.
Sorry?
And Pyworkpage is dynamic.
Mm.
Pyworkpage is dynamic data.
Correct.
So PX is
no. This Pyworkpage, so the prefixes PX, PY, PZ are sort of, I can say like PX and PZ values, they cannot be modified. So they are provided by the system. They are generated by the system and you cannot modify those values. You cannot change it. If required, you can access them and you can process in your application, but you cannot manipulate that data. Whereas PY can be modified. Okay. Maybe once the clipboard is ready, we'll just get to see this.
Yeah, in theory, it's a bit difficult to understand, like why you want to modify it.
I mean, in fact, generally BAs do not create anything like PX, PY, PZ properties. We wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
It's
I don't
basically your.
remember reading anything about this in the past ones. Is this still in the sense, is it a good to know, like it's good to know this, but is this also
sort
a
of.
part of the syllabus?
No. So this PX, PY is not part of the syllabus, but your clipboard and data, the categories of pages, yes, they are part. Yeah, they are on the.
No, it's
I just
yeah,
shared.
it's good to no, it's helpful really. Yeah, no, I was just trying to understand because I don't remember reading that. Otherwise, it's good to know. Yeah, it's good to know more information.
Yeah. So because when you open the clipboard, you see a lot of data in it.
Yeah, it's good to know what you.
Correct.
Yeah, it's helpful. Yeah, that's it. If you're reading in their academy ones. You will not know all that, what's happening there.
True, true.
Working is always different from what you read in theory, isn't it? It's always
Correct,
that's
correct.
the case.
Even it's the same for even CSA and CSSA also. Because once you are into any project, you should be able to handle any kind of topics and concepts,
Yeah,
right?
and that comes with experience, I think. You can't read
Correct,
and get
correct.
that.
Correct. And even the project team, the leads, they wouldn't categorize people based upon their certifications. If suppose
Yeah.
there's a task that is assigned to me, I should not say that only I am only a CSA certified, I cannot do this. Right? So
Yeah.
I should to take it up.
No,
Yeah.
actually, I think now certifications are given more weight, so I'm doing it because you have to do it. But otherwise, I never bothered to do any kind of certification for anything because it is just,
Hmm.
I feel you get more information from what you're learning rather than from
Correct.
your
Correct.
co-workers or from seniors,
Right.
or if you're doing from the project rather than you holding a book and wasting time, I used to feel.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes.
But nowadays, people to pick resumes,
Hmm.
they first see the certifications.
True. True. So this is still loading. Check.
Oh, yeah, if you're waiting for something, mine is done. It's saying exit. Can I exit this one?
Okay. Yeah. So no errors, right? You will see two tabs there on the top. One shows errors and one shows logs. Can you check if there are any errors? From by any chance, any errors?
This is like build successful, it is showing in this one.
Build success. Okay. Okay.
And
So one
nothing, no errors.
the no errors. Okay, great. Then
Exit?
you can exit. Yes.
Okay. So now will I find the icon or is that anything
Mm,
more I need to?
correct. Nothing much. You just go to your
Oh, then why
desktop.
did you say I need to install JDK? Was it for CSA?
Not, not required. Generally, JDK isn't required because it will be available on your personal edition. It will be there by default.
Okay.
You need to do that. I'm not sure why. Probably
Yeah,
I
that's why
don't.
I went to the README and it told just click on the install one. So I didn't want
Mm-hmm.
to. I thought I'll wait for you instead of I doing something. So will this come
Okay.
in
Okay.
desktop or?
Yes, you'll have it directly on the
Ah, yeah, I
desktop.
found three icons in the
No,
desktop. Yeah.
you just need to start your server first.
Okay.
Already running? Any
Shall I?
command backend?
So it is 8.5.1 startup.
Correct.
This is nothing to do with the version which we are learning, isn't it? Because you can work in a lower
Because
version of
nothing,
it.
yeah, not much of changes.
Yeah.
To check the academy also, you wouldn't find much of a difference from 8.5 and 8.6.
Yeah. No, however, if you uh, Windows Defender has blocked some features. I think it's this one. Windows Defender firewall has blocked when I was running the startup. I think I need to allow access, I think, isn't it? Because Java
Mhm.
XE is there. It's a exe file,
Oh,
so it is blocking it, I think. But Java is needed,
oh.
isn't it?
Mm.
For the first time, it might be taking a lot of time, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah, are you ready or
Yeah, I'm
even you?
still to
Oh,
start it. So generally, I wouldn't shut down the server because when I need
yeah,
to
it takes
restart
a lot of time, isn't it?
time, so I wouldn't generally do it. Today I had to. Okay. And it's also difficult to go through the complete session once again, because you do not know, if you miss one click, that creates a gap there. You should go back, then check again. So that's how
Yeah,
it
yeah, that's true. That's very true. You told me to do
and
all the exercises what are there in the syllabus, isn't it?
yes.
It's very important to do those
Hmm.
in the,
And
sorry, in the academy. What you?
most importantly, the quizzes. Quizzes at the end of each module are very important,
Okay, you
because
meant the quizzes because sometimes they have exercises, isn't it? That's a bit.
yeah, challenges they have, correct.
Mm-hmm.
So challenges, you will be able to cover it up quickly, because they give some step by step instructions they would give, and that you can do it very
Okay.
quickly, not a problem. But going
Yeah, once you
through,
have this software.
correct, and that too
Yeah.
for Pega, you can just do it in your cloud instance. If you have the access to it, you can just look at the cloud instance and you can work on the exercises.
Sorry, what does that mean? Where do I get the access to cloud instance?
In the Pega Academy only. Once you register to your PCBA course,
Mm-hmm.
once you start looking at the course, you'll have missions and challenges, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
mission is the theory part, you get to see videos, quizzes, and all of that. Whereas
yeah,
challenge is the actual practical implementation.
yeah.
Okay? So inside the challenge, you can work on the Pega's cloud edition there. So you would have an option open in Pega
Okay.
Cloud. So
Okay,
that
so they
launches.
will let you access that.
Correct. So they would give all the prerequisites for launching your exercise system.
Okay. I thought you need to download this edition personal because sometimes there also they don't let easily to download that. So I thought this was so you can do it directly on the cloud instance only.
Correct. Because there the application is already built. They would only give a challenge related to one specific topic,
Yeah,
right?
that was my question. Other day I was going on this one and they gave me they are giving the password and username.
Correct.
So I was
Correct.
thinking, where is the background for this one? So okay, that's what you mean. You need to go to the cloud instance and do that.
Correct.
Okay.
So cloud instance will have all the prerequisites. You don't need to do anything like
They've
create.
designed it for training.
Exactly. Only for the practice version. Everything is
Okay.
already designed and built there. So you can just look after that. If it's only for that one specific topic.
Okay.
Yeah. So otherwise, if you want to start it from scratch, look after the application creation and all, you can use the personal edition.
Okay.
Okay. So as we were talking about the clipboard, let us go ahead. We'll see how the clipboard looks like. I'm just going to uh, open the App Studio. So we'll just run a transaction and we'll see how the case data will be available on the clipboard. So let me create a new case instance. And more frequently, the developers would be using the clipboard because they would be involved in the debugging. But as BAs, we might also sometimes need to work on the clipboard. So just understanding it would be a lot more beneficial. Let me just go to the case types.
Where did you click now?
No, I just clicked on the case types only, the regular case type.
Okay.
Nothing related to the clipboard so far. So let me just run the transaction, then we'll open the clipboard. Okay, so let me just save and run. I'm creating an instance. Okay. So my create view does not have any fields. So I can just advance my transaction. Okay, let me proceed further.
Okay.
Now on each screen, the data that I fill in will be available on the clipboard. So let us fill in some details here and then I will launch the clipboard. And with each screen you proceed further, you get to see that data being populated on the clipboard. Suppose now I try to fill in this first name fields. Some address. And on the candidate details, let me give hello world. And date of birth. And then some email. Okay, and let me also fill in some candidate details. So I'll just give an candidate name 1. Let me add in one more item, candidate name 2. And then probably rest of those could also be given. Let me submit. And now I will launch the clipboard to see this data on the clipboard. So let me click on this, the bottom right corner.
Yeah.
And the first thing that you see on the clipboard is a thread. So thread is something that you need to make sure you're pointing it to the right thread. So thread is nothing but your case instance. So what is the case instance that I'm running? It is R7001. Okay.
Okay, so that's also the thread number.
Yes. So let me choose R7001. All right. So let me click on this. And now you get to see all the 4 categories: user pages, data pages, link property pages, and system.
So
Okay,
this helps you to debug the.
Correct. So within system pages, you see application data, you see organization, division, unit, a lot of other things are available. Okay, you see the name of the property and the value that is assigned to it. So not every property is prominent because we don't need every property. What are we interested in this user pages? Within user pages, I see a lot of things. What am I interested in is your Pyworkpage. Your Pyworkpage, if you see, it is of the work-recruitment type. which means it says you are running a recruitment transaction. And here are my values for Pyworkpage, the property and the value. So address, I've given something called a sample, and then there's date of birth, there's some email, experience, first name. Experience is yet to be filled. It doesn't have any value. Whereas gap in education, these also have to be filled in yet. So I don't see any values for them. So at least these properties I created, so they are available. Along with this, I also see a lot of other properties. PX related properties are there. PY prefix properties are there. PZ prefix properties are also there. These are generated by the system.
Why it is giving a edit option here? Because you can edit if you're in the live, you can edit and rerun it instead of putting another instance. Can you correct it and
Correct.
rerun it? Like you don't want to
Correct.
get if the customer has signed something and if it is stuck somewhere for some mistake.
Right. You can do that. And in fact, you can also check how your case is navigated to across different paths.
Yeah,
Because
that's while debugging, but still,
correct.
while debugging, usually in the error page, it doesn't let you edit anything, isn't it? You need to come to the
Correct.
application and do it.
But here,
But
when I edit, I can just make sure all the user-defined fields are editable, and your PY related fields are editable, whereas PX
okay,
and PZ cannot be edited.
so once you save, what happens? It automatically takes the value, or you have to run somewhere
Correct.
again.
No, if suppose there is A, B, C, D, E, F, once I
Okay.
save it.
So it will
So,
itself run again.
yes. Yes, on the clipboard, I'll be seeing a change here. And in fact, the same change reflects back on the case instance.
Application. Okay, on the case. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So I see these properties here. But what about the candidate and the candidate list properties? I don't see them on the Pyworkpage. Correct? Right?
Candidate and candidate list properties.
Right. I've added in some candidate list.
Yeah.
But I don't see them here on the Pyworkpage. Where do I see it? No, as these are single valued properties, I see them directly on the Pyworkpage. But the candidate and the candidate list are page properties and page list properties. Right? They are not single valued properties. So inside the Pyworkpage, here is your candidate list, and I've added some 2 or 3 instances. Right? I see them here. So candidate name 1. Then I have candidate 2, then candidate 3. Okay. And for a candidate page, I've given some hello world and some other details. I see them inside the Pyworkpage. Okay. So that's the you get on the clipboard with respect to the data modeling. If you are handling single value properties, they would be directly available on the Pyworkpage. If you are dealing with page list properties, you get to see them inside. They are embedded inside the Pyworkpage. Right? So are we clear with this? So far, any questions? Okay, let me just add in some experience details. 7 years, gap in education, 2 years, then highest degree. Or let me add in some details, tech stack, Java, Python.
And as a user also, if you start a case, like as a user, if you're as a user, you have logged in and put something in the application, even then you can see it in the clipboard as a BA, isn't it?
But if it's a user, I don't let him do any debugging, right?
No. As a user, I'm not saying he can see the clipboard. I'm saying what as a user they have put. You as a BA can check in the clipboard, isn't it?
You can see it. Correct. You can do it.
Yeah.
Yes. Just save it. Now I should see the changes. They have to be reflected back on your case type. For example, either if it's something on this particular screen, you can refresh, or if it's something on the next screen, let me submit. Okay, let me proceed further. Yeah, so you see experience I've given.
Yeah, 7.
Right, and the tech stack that I've given Java, Pega, again, Pyworkpage. So clipboard is not just for viewing, but you can also make changes on the data and you can get it reflected back on the case type. Okay, so that's the purpose of having a clipboard.
Okay, so this is helpful in that changing it in the data, going directly changing in the database, you can do it on the
Correct.
clipboard, isn't it? Like you
Correct.
want.
Correct. Exactly. Right. So are we good with the clipboard?
Yeah.
Any
So the same thing, if you do any changes in the clipboard as a user information, so in the systems you can see who has done that changes also, isn't it? In the system list page.
Yes, we could do that. Yes, we can see.
Because when it is in the production, you want to see the audit logs, isn't it? Sometimes who has done what, so
Correct.
that
Correct.
if somebody has changed something without notice, so you go and check it in the system log, isn't it? Who has done it?
Right. Right. You can have that as well. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Right.
I
So
think
far.
that's the main use, I think, isn't it, in the live for this one?
Mhm.
Like as an admin, like not as admin or BA, whoever is handling, they can make changes if it is required. And if you want to check any
Correct.
audits, you can go and check the system logs.
Correct. Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe probably once we are done with the next thing that we will be discussing is about data validation. So it would be done in like 15 minutes. So then so far we spoke about the data modeling, the case designing and sort of stuff. Good, we have seen how the data. So when I talk about validating the data, so it's always important we need to validate the information or validate the data that users enter into your application, right? Because any data that the user enters, I cannot just consider it and I cannot go on with processing it, right? So I need to make sure the data is of the right format, it is of the right type, so that only then I can proceed with my transaction without any errors.
Yeah.
So it's always important. Any application you take, we should validate the information. So
Yeah.
let's see how we do that on the Pega platform. But before that, let us check what are some design requirements that we have to follow. So the first thing is be the right type. When you're choosing a field type or when you're choosing a field or a property, so make sure it is of the right type. So that does 50% of the validation. Right? If you want a user input related to date, choose the date only format rather than using a text. Right? So if it's a normal text, the user can enter this, for example. So the user can enter something like this.
Yeah, whatever they like, isn't it?
Right. I do not know if he is mentioning 1st of October or 10th of January. I do not know that. Maybe some people would enter first month, first day of some year. So it depends upon the people, right? Their locale they are in, and then the time formats they follow depending upon the geography and sort of. So it's always better to have a type for the data that you're going to handle. So always try to choose the right type. That does your basic validation. Make sure your data fits to the business logic, right? So never request data that is not in the context of your application. So let it only fit the business logic. Do not gather some unnecessary information, right, which is not used in your application. Better don't request it from the user. Suppose as we are dealing with recruitment here, do I need the spouse's medical history in the recruitment run?
No.
No, not required. Maybe once after the candidate is selected, onboarded, then I may need the details. But at this context of recruitment, I don't need the spouse's medical history. So do not request for it. And be restricted to possible values. when you have some options or choices, let the user be restricted to those values only. So either provide a drop down, a radio choice, an autocomplete or so, but let the user be restricted to those values, right? So if you give it like a normal text box, they can enter anything they want.
Yeah.
For example, your reporting location, you're collecting from the user. And you only have 4 options for reporting locations: Hyderabad, Chennai, Mumbai, and Delhi. Okay. Now, if it's the radio choice, the user had to select from one of those only, or be it a drop down, anything. He can only select one of those. But if you put it as a text box, he can enter
Whatever they
Lucknow.
like.
Yes, he can enter anything, any international city could be used, right? So that doesn't serve your purpose. So make sure you try to restrict them to possible values. Okay. Right. So once you start, looking at the different kinds of validations, so the first level of validation is on the property level. Okay? Property level as in selecting the correct type of property. So that is what we have done so far, right? We chose the field and we chose the corresponding field type. So that's the first or the basic level of validation that we could go for. Right? After which, okay, let me just, okay, I'm just going to run the case. So now on this get personal info on this particular screen, I have added all this sort of information, right? Like first name is there, last name, date of birth. So I've chosen the correct property type. So for date, for date of birth, I've chosen the date type as the field type, which is appropriate. But date of birth, when I observe, I can give something in the future also. But is that valid?
No.
So that sort of validation has still to be applied. So this serves my basic purpose. That's good. But further, I have to refine validation, right? And also, suppose first name. So look at the number of characters I can give on the first name. And all special characters are also possible. All numbers are also possible. Is that okay?
No, you should be, it's only should be a letter you can validate
Right.
as, isn't it?
Only alphabets. And that too, you need to restrict the size of the first name, the number of characters. Because if it is this huge, it cannot accommodate in my database, right? Because when I define some columns and all for the first name, a maximum of 32 characters or 60 characters I'll put.
Yeah, it should match the database requirement, isn't
so
it?
if I give like 100 and 120 characters here, it doesn't make sense, right? So I should restrict those things, right? And even when I go back to my date of birth, okay, so today is 11th, right? I can give 10th and the system is accepting. So is it like, can you give a job to 1 day old? No.
No, that too
So
you have to
you
restrict
need
for 18 plus, I think, isn't it? Still, or 16
exactly.
plus. Or,
So depending upon the job profile you're doing, whatever, you need to have a minimum age restriction that has to be followed. Correct? So these values or these validations, they are sort of, we have different methods to validate this. So let us see how this is possible and where can we validate this data. So let me go back to the recruitment. I'm going to open the process now. Okay. So on this connector, get personal info. So the configure view that I see, where I build in all my fields, field types and all. That is converted as a section rule in the backend. Just like how process is converted as a flow and your steps are converted as shapes, similarly, the configure view is converted as a section. So to view that section, I cannot directly view it from the, I cannot directly view it from the App Studio. So what I'll do is I'll open this process on the Dev Studio. Okay, sometimes we need to switch back and forth between App and Dev Studios. So this process, I'm just trying to open it from the Dev Studio perspective to make changes on these validations. So this is how it looks. Once I click on this connector, I have something called as a flow action. So you don't need to worry much about these terminologies. It's a complete dev perspective. But just
Yeah. If I clear this, I'm planning to do CSA. But yeah, first need to clear this one.
Yeah.
What I have in hand.
So yeah, let me just click on the flow action. There is a flow action, and once I open it, I was talking about a section, right? The configure view that you work on will bring a section here.
Yeah.
There you have all your UI elements that you have added on the screen. Okay, here a lot more validations and a lot more control could be achieved.
So you click on the flow connector and then you come here. Sorry, I missed.
Correct. I clicked on the flow action, the connector. So that opens the screen of flow action. Inside which there is a section. Here you see there is a section. Right. So open this. I click on this. You see a section is opening.
To be a decisioning consultant, you told you need to do CSA as the base, isn't it? You need to do the course.
Right.
Is it more of a development side of consultation? It's like you need to have a lot of in-depth knowledge of the system, isn't it?
Correct. Because they just get very mainstream directly to the decisioning concepts only. So the base or the background has to be built in from your
okay, so BA is not enough for that. You need to do CSA.
CSA would help because it would be more of a technical thing. So better having a CSA would help.
Okay. Though you have background of like development, still you have to have CSA. In the sense, you will not understand it.
Development as in from Pega, is it?
Not Pega. I'm saying general. So it should still you have the Pega experience in development.
Because the terminology is a lot. I mean, most of it relate to the CSA stuff.
Okay, that's true. You train on that?
Yeah, decisioning, yes. I take up, but these days it's more of CSA, CSSA, and BA.
Okay, CSA also you take it.
Yeah, I do take up CSA and CSSA.
Okay. I think CSSA you still have to have experience working, isn't it? Otherwise, no point in taking CSSA.
At least I suggest at least 6 months minimum. If you want like CWSA, 1 year of it is right. So yes, just getting back to where we've left. So here's your flow action on the connector. Once I open it, here is your section. Get personal info. Once I open the section here, this is how it looks. All these things that I've added on the screen, they have come up as they have come up on my section. So here you can play a lot within the sections here. Now, for example, so let me click on the first name, and all the fields that I've added, they turn out to be properties. There's a complete you can say a difference between the terminology used in the App Studio to the terminology used in the Dev Studio. There we call them fields, field types. Here we call them properties, right? And on the presentation tab here, you can define your minimum number of characters or a maximum number of characters. Right? So these can be handled. So minimum of 3, a maximum of 15 characters. Yes, for the first. And similarly for the last, so you can define your own conditions. Right? And for example, there's date of birth. So if I click on the date of birth here, now I should go to presentations. So here you see currently the display mode for date and time is a text input plus a calendar. Okay? But if you want it to be something else, maybe if you want it to be a drop down, you can have it. Okay? And for each of it, if it's a calendar, you have different options here, whether you want a spinner or you want a drop down. You want to allow text entry or not. And what is the display range? The next 10 years and the past 10 years. But as it is a date of birth, I don't need next 10 years. And obviously, previous 10 years also wouldn't work for my business scenario because I need at least people in the range of maybe 18 to 40 or 18 to 50 or so. So depending upon the higher range you look, you can change your previous years. Maybe I'll go to
50. This is for experience you're putting. Sorry, which one?
No. This is for the date of birth. The
date of birth, you can't put upper limit, isn't it? Might be retirement age.
Right. So depending upon the job profile, probably if you are trying to get in between.
Zero. Why did you put? It should start from 18 or 17, isn't it?
No. This 0 means the next how many years. So suppose this represents your calendar. So do you want future years to be shown on your calendar? If yes,
no.
Maybe in the future. But I'm dealing with date of birth. So
okay. So you're putting it 0 because you don't want at all the future dates to be shown.
I don't need any future years, so I would just disable it.
Okay.
And also the previous years also, maybe I'll put it to 40 years. Assuming my upper limit for this particular job is 40 years. Okay, so my system will go back until, so now it is 2021. It will go back until 1981, not beyond that. You're also looking at some retirements or some senior positions, you can go until 60. Likewise, depending upon your business requirement. Okay. And do you want to disable weekends? No, this is not a business calendar. It is date of birth.
No, this is date of birth. Anybody can be born anytime.
You should not tell that if you're born on a Sunday, I'm not going to pay you. No, so I don't want to. Right? And if you want any specific time zones and all, you can have it. So likewise, on each property, you will have different kinds of controls available. So these, in the technical terms, we call them controls. So this is more of a control-based validation that you are doing. Initially, the first one is based on the property, the field. Second one is on the control. Then we have one more. Let me go back to the App Studio. This one is, again, we could do this on the App Studio. Okay, I'm just going to save this. So I'll just try to save and run to make sure my whatever the validation that I've given for first name and date of birth are working or not. Let me check. Okay, let me see one numbers. Yes, so first name, what is the maximum characters? 15. What is minimum number of characters? 3. Let me enter. Let me enter some things that I'm going to add in. So here, do you see any future years? Oh, is it not saved or what?
Oh no.
Once I think it seems like this is not saved. Did I save the section? No. Open in the Dev Studio 1 second.
Yeah.
Let me just make sure all of this is saved. Is the change still available or is it minimum characters, maximum characters available? Date of birth. Yes. Okay, looks good. Save your section and save the flow action and then also your flow.
It's
On
easy to
CD.
forget, isn't it, here? Because to
Correct.
save.
Correct. Okay. Now I'll go back to the apps. Okay, it says record is still, which means no new changes are available. Now I'm sure that the changes have been applied. We'll see if it reflects or not. Okay. Let me just refresh once. Okay, let me proceed further. Okay, this time let me check. Yes. So you see the field should be at least 3 characters long. Where did this come from? From the validation that you have given. Okay.
Yeah.
Now if I do enter something more than for example, let me go with the date of birth. So I cannot proceed on with the upper limit anymore. So after 2021.
Yeah, it doesn't let you.
And what about, yes, I see all the earlier years. Good. Until 6 years, I can see. Good. So my validation working fine. But if the user selects something like this, 1st July 2021, it is agreed because it is a valid past date. But
Yeah,
as
we
per
have not
your
set any limit, isn't it?
correct. As per your business scenario, this will not work. Correct?
Yeah.
So control level validation has brought your search narrowed a little bit, but we can still further down your or refine your validation. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to give a job to a person who is 1 year or 2 years. My minimum age limit is 21, for example. Now, within the past dates, I cannot restrict 2021 until 2000. I cannot restrict that, right? Using my limits. I cannot do
Yeah.
that. What should I do? So then you can go back to your case
And
type.
do further refining, isn't it?
Correct. Correct. Combination of what you choose, whether it is on the property or on the control or the approach we are doing now or we are going to do now, it depends upon your business scenario. So not every time I need all the 3 levels of validations. So
Yeah, it might be. If you're applying for a holiday, then this will not.
Correct. So for
This
a
will not
holiday,
come in.
with future dates. So
Yeah, you
both.
might have to set 1 year. You can restrict after 1 year because nobody can apply for. There might be company policies where you can't apply more than a year ahead.
Correct.
So something like that.
Yes. So here comes your one more level of validation. Okay, so this is a validation rule that we are creating. Okay, so this further refines our data validation, and here you can add in conditions. Like for example, my date of birth. As well.
Yeah, I can see now.
Okay. All right. So yes, let me choose the date of birth. Yes. And what is my criteria here? If the date of birth is after, okay, probably if it is after 1/1/2000, I will show an error message saying that this date of birth is not valid. Okay, so what is the message that you want to show? Something like or I'll put a message saying age should be greater than 20. Okay, that means you can add in multiple conditions here, and these are like form level validations. Okay, it would be up for the complete form. And on the first screen, what else you have? Maybe phone number is there. Okay. The phone number, if it is empty, if it is blank. Okay, so show him a message. Please enter.
Valid number.
Right. Or valid. So these are more like form level validations that we come across. And you can add in multiple conditions also. Okay. Or if you have some things related to pin codes, right, or zip codes. So you will have a list of it, right? All the list of available pin codes and all. So if it is not any of that in the list, so you can use these things in the list, not in the list and all. So let me submit. We'll see how this works. And this is a form level validation. So it would be initiated only if I submit the form. Okay, only after form submission, I'll be able to see this validations.
What do you mean by submitting the form?
Submit as in once you proceed, you click next or you click submit. Right?
Okay. Oh, submit in the sense here you meant. Okay.
No, not here. The actual transaction. So the other validations, if you observe, for the first name, we got the number of characters as a validation, right? So that is applied as soon as you enter the first name. You don't need to submit the form there.
Okay, I got it now. So you mean this is when you submit the form, it will not give it as soon as you enter the phone number. You have to finish this page and when you click on
Exactly.
save or something. Okay.
Correct. It will take the date of birth if you enter after 2001. It is okay. But after you submit the form, it will throw you an error that this is not a valid date.
Yeah.
So they are not.
So we had done data types, isn't it? Like we had done an entire page. We had put them in. In that
Correct.
also we can individually then refine those fields, isn't it?
Yes.
We have to go to
Yes.
that actual data type,
Data
and
type.
then you need to refine individual fields in that.
Correct. You can do that. So wherever that data type is applied, you will have those validations come in picture.
Okay, you can't do that individually where you call. You have to go to the actual where you have packaged it.
No. In both the ways, we can still do it. So here
For the
instead
one
of
bit, no, this way you can only do it for the single values one, isn't it? If you call the
for page properties also, you can do it. Maybe we
but
will see.
when you're reusing it, can you do it?
Yes, because for example, you have a date of birth field in your data type, but date of birth for recruitment and for onboarding might have different
Criteria.
Correct. So in that case, you do it separately on each of the individual case types. Right? Maybe a common validation will not work there.
Okay, so you call that data type and in that form you will make the changes for that particular.
Correct. Exactly. Right. Now suppose first name, I've given only 2 characters. So as soon as I enter this, I got the validation checked. But for date of birth, so let me give something after. So the system doesn't show anything. It considers just like it is. But when you submit, I'll do this. When I submit, let's see if this is throwing any error. Is it just continuing? Yes, we've got an error. It says age should be greater than 20. And also phone number is empty. So it says enter a valid phone number. Until unless these two are addressed, I cannot proceed with the form. I cannot go ahead and submit the form. So both of these have to be addressed. Suppose I've entered a phone number. Because I thought phone number is not a mandatory field. It is not given as mandatory. So I just skipped it. So if I try to submit.
In this case, that star symbol doesn't occur.
You will have it. You can have that as well. So that works for the you can do it on the configure view itself. You can select this has this mandatory field. You can do that.
Okay.
Right, but initially, if you remember, what we thought was having all.
Oh yeah. No. Here now you have set the validation, isn't it? Still, it doesn't come as a star.
No, that doesn't come as a star. That comes only when you are using this as a mandatory field in the configure view. Here,
okay. Yeah, we chose it not to do because we wanted to move further. Okay.
Right. So now when I try to until unless I address all these issues, I'll not be able to proceed further. So let me change it. And in fact, as this is a text field, I can also go ahead and change it. 1991. Let me submit. Now, once are successful, all the levels, I mean, on the property level, then control level, and then your form level validations, only then you will be able to proceed. Okay, so this is how you will be able to restrict the users from entering some errors or entering some random values into your application. Okay.
Mhm.
So are we good with validations? Any questions so far?
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Good.
Good, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So yes, then can we go for a break? I mean, do you want us to continue the session, or should we stop or take a break then come
I
back?
think it's good to take a break, isn't it? For
Yeah,
if
sure.
you're okay. My this server is running on the background, and it is still show. It is not still. It is showing the threads, like it's not anyways showing that the server has started. So it's still running or what?
No. Server started will show it to you on the very top. The first 2-3 lines, you will get that server started thing.
Okay, so now you mean this would have started and there's no issues. I can
Yes.
launch my.
Yes. Yes.
But I never saw
You
in
can
the
launch.
2-3. I went to the top. Oh,
Okay.
waiting for the server to start. Done. Okay, it's come done. Server started.
Okay.
Okay, so now I can go ahead and launch, isn't it, the user? Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah, thank you.
So
How
it's
long?
like most of the important topics we have covered. So rest of the ones are the important ones are sourcing your data types. Then we have a
Uh-huh.
report,
Uh-huh.
right? Then we have some declarative rules. Then
Yeah,
few
yeah.
things to UI and stuff. So it's like you
Yeah,
can
yeah,
say
yeah.
the majority, I think the 50-60% of whatever comes on the exam, we have covered it so far.
Yeah. No worries. Till 18th, whatever we can do, we can do.
Sure.
And then after that, I can come back and I'll have the questions, or we can
Yeah.
take, if you need, if the time is not covered, we can take it later, isn't it? Then
Sure,
after
sure,
that.
we can do that.
So login is here. Sorry. So I'll
So see
click
if
on
you are able to
login.
correct.
So login, it's asking the launch in which it's a browser, isn't it? Whichever you prefer browser, any browser
Which
is okay.
browser? Yeah,
So,
it will take you
is there any
to your
preference for
browser.
Pega, or is it okay any browser?
Anything should be good. Anything is
Which one you
fine.
use, Edge or Chrome?
So I use this Edge.
Okay, because it's Microsoft, yeah, I'll go for Edge. Okay, the login page has come. Now, for me to log in, first I need to create one, isn't it? I'll see you then next weekend. Have a good
Sure,
week.
sure, Pritika. Yeah.
Yeah, have a good. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good
Bye.
day. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.